So, welcome everybody. On behalf of Team Sundial, I would like to welcome one and all to today's web cafe. My name is Rashmi, and for people who just entered, again, I would like to mention that the first half of this session is recorded, and it's going to be a discussion between me and the guest speaker. Okay, so to start with, let me talk about web cafes. So web cafe is basically where we discuss about the hidden harms, especially in the West Midlands. And we partner with organizations and individuals based in West Midlands. The web cafes are basically webinars to help us look at the hidden harms behind harmful practices and how it impacts communities, the beliefs, the best practices, the support systems that are available, the learning, and the prevention. So, this is basically like a platform which can help us to look at it more in detail and discuss and have an open conversation about it. And we are proud to be funded by the West Midlands Police. And today, we have with us our very own Rubie Marie as a guest speaker. To tell you about Ruby, Ruby was taken out of school and forced into marriage at the age of 15. But today, she's an ambassador and an anti honor based abuse facilitator with Sundial, and have seen her umpteen times training and sharing her story with a lot of grit and courage when we are training in schools, colleges, and in front of professionals. And she is amazing. And today we are super proud and privileged to have her with us today during this web cafe. So, Ruby, welcome. And I'm
Thank
sure
you.
you will help us take this message of the harms behind a harmful practice like forced marriage. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And yes, we will go deep diving into the hidden harms. And if anyone does have any questions, please keep it to mind. So, in the other half of our session, you will have your chance to ask any questions that you would like to ask. So, please be mindful about that. And please feel free to ask whatever type of question you want. I am here to educate you and raise the awareness on the harms.
Thank you, Ruby. Thank you. So, to start with, the first question that I would like to begin with is that you were forced into marriage at the age of 15. So, how did your family hide it from you? How did they manage to hide this thing from you and get you into this?
So there's always a trigger. So the trigger was my elder sister had a secret boyfriend, and I had a secret boyfriend at the time too. But my sister went to my father and she asked him to marry her to this secret boyfriend. He blatantly said no, and he beat her very badly, and she eloped from home. So that was the main trigger. As I was next in the line of the females, I was 15 and it was just before the summer holidays. And as you can imagine, in these type of situations, especially with there's honor codes, it affected not just our immediate family, it affected the entire community. So the stress and the pressure was put onto my father by the extended community. And the community then had meetings with my father, and I didn't quite understand what these meetings were. They took place in my home, and that was them planning for me to actually go to Bangladesh and get married over the summer holidays. So this then led on to how I got to Bangladesh.
Hmm. So, what was there lack of professional curiosity that you could cite in this entire incident where you were taken to Bangladesh without your knowledge? You must have been told that it was just a vacation, just a holiday. Did you
Yes.
cite lack of professional curiosity, and how did that add into it?
Well, that was a huge part because we were already known to the social services anyway at school because my father and mother didn't have a healthy relationship. I witnessed quite a lot of domestic violence. So there's a family of 10, and my siblings were arranged from secondary school to primary school. So social services was involved with us. They were obviously taking notes of everything that was going on at home. And when we went to Bangladesh, and it was after about, I would say, maximum 6 weeks after my sister eloped, just right before the summer holidays, we were told that we will come back before September so I can continue my education, but that didn't happen. So in total, we were away of the amount of time that we were in Bangladesh for almost a year. Within that time, the schools never chased us up. So that was a major factor. The social service never chased us up. So there's a big family of 10 just missing for over a year, and we fell through the loopholes.
Okay. And did they help you at least when you came back?
No.
How did you manage to come back to UK?
So the only reason that I got to come back was because there was a pre-planned pregnancy. They wanted me to get pregnant. That was their goal. That was their foundation of a guarantee for the spouse to come over here in the UK because he will have a child of his own, a British child. So when I did get pregnant, and that obviously was led by a lot of rape, I got very sick. It wasn't morning sickness. It was far worse than that. And I was in a very bad way. My mother got loads of doctors from far and wide. And as you can imagine, in a developing country, they don't have the specific medicine to give. And, they didn't quite understand what was going on. And they advised my mother for us to come back to the UK because basically they said, Rubie's going to die if she stays here. She's going to die, baby will die. So that was then the pivotal moment where I got to come back home to the UK, and I saw a bit of light of trying to reach out to some sort of type of help, which never happened.
So do you suggest there are missed opportunities that could have actually avoided this abuse?
Many. So schools could have asked where Rubie is. Social service could have asked. When I went to the doctors, they knew I just turned 16 at the time. And it was only a couple of months after my 16th birthday, I actually came back to the UK. So my doctors didn't even ask. And I'd been going to this specific doctor since I was like 3 years old. So they knew the family quite well. And we had a very close bond, but I think that close bond actually disguised a lot of fear as well in asking, like, the family, the parents, whoever came with me to my appointments, because I think they probably thought, oh, we shouldn't cross that barrier because that's their culture. That was the sayings that people would use back then because of the lack of education. So doctors could have asked, midwives could have asked, every time I went to have scans and things like that, but nobody asked. Only one person did, and that was because when I came back to the UK, I was in such depression that I tried to take my life, and I did end up going into hospital to be put on the IV, and this one nurse did ask, do you want an abortion? And I said, yes. Obviously, I didn't go through the abortion. I kept my daughter as strength. And, I just made that decision at that time because I felt like that was my last bit of hope and positivity inside of me being Rubie, because I was so young. I was lost. I was very depressed. I didn't find any ways out of the situation. So I kept my baby.
Continuing with what you just said, what were the long-term impacts or effects on you as a person, as an individual? What would you say?
As an individual, well, as you can imagine, from the age when you're 15 years old, you have no identity anyway. You're learning to get to know your interests, who you are. Excuse me. I know my childhood was very, very happy. I was getting to know what Ruby is like. She's a little bit of a rebel, you know, especially amongst all of, you know, siblings. I was the loud one, I was the expressive one. But when it came to hitting puberty and when I got married, I completely lost myself. As I said, I got depressed. Nobody taught me the tools in life to look out for perpetrators that were then projecting in my choice of relationships for a very long time. I mean, I'm 42 now. That lasted up until I would say 35, because the impacts were negative traits. Always trying to look for that comfort, always trying to look for, right, I need that security. The father figure that I had, you know, I was trying to look for that in every man. And it wasn't until I was around 30 when I decided that I wanted to go to university and study integrative counseling, because I wanted to go out into the public and help people. So I knew that was my like calling, and I thought to myself, right, I'm going to self-help while I study. And in that specific course as well, I had a counselor that will counsel and manage all the students.
Mm-hmm.
And I then found myself having these pivotal moments of, oh my gosh, I need more help than I thought I should, or, you know, and I continued my counseling sessions for over a year. So I had 250 hours. No, it was way over a year. Yeah, I had an hour a week and I had 250 sessions. And that's a lot of sessions. I had to really dive deep and go back to the 8-year-old me, which was the healthiest time that I remember. And I applied all the theories that I was learning about, as well as a counselor listening to me and unpacking every single thing that I had to go through again. And if it wasn't for that, then I don't think I would be in a public eye, because if I'm not healthy myself, I can't give healthy outlooks to the public, because that would be my suffer duty of care to do. And I knew I had to look after number one first, which was me and my children. So that's what I did.
When you're speaking, something that struck me was you said that I had a happy childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say you had a happy childhood, what were the beliefs that actually got your family to do this or get you married forcibly? What do you
Well,
think the belief or the
my
pattern is?
my childhood was absolutely amazing. You know, I had such happy times, and I really hold them dear to my heart. Um, my background that I grew up with is Muslim. You know, my family is Muslim, but I remember the times when my mum didn't wear a headscarf. She'd wear these beautiful colourful saris. She, you know, do her hair so beautifully. It was very much so free living, and we all bounced off each other in that sense. And we were just living life. And my father was a very, very nice person back then. You know, he was my hero. He was my first love. You know, and I saw my parents having such a loving foundation relationship as well. So those are the things that I remember. So the contrast is, as we were growing up and hitting puberty, in the extended community, there was like a wave of a fashionable way to live with religion. And that's the best way I can describe it. Everyone then became a bit more pious. They wanted to wear the hijab. They wanted to wear the whole burqa. And then that was just like a whole wave just came over the whole community. So it was like, if I'm doing it, you've got to do it too. So it became like a fashionable, like, we've all got to do this. We've all got to stick together. It's all about the honor codes again, because I didn't quite understand that, because my family was so free loving and free living and expressive. So when all that type of manipulation from the community came, of you've got to do this and you've got to do that, I felt like my family didn't have a choice, because we would have been outcasted. And it's the same role again of what happened when my sister left home. That same narrative came upon us again, because later, a bit down the line, obviously, I have so many brothers and sisters. We're all married to different cultures and different backgrounds of people. So there again, we were looked down upon, like, no, you have to keep it to the same race of people, the same background. We have to match everything as the community tells us. And we were looked down upon that because we married into a multicultural, beautiful multicultural extended families. So it's that same narrative that keeps happening again from the community. And it's on, I describe it as honor codes.
Hmm. So can you suggest some honor codes that you could cite in your story? What were the honor codes that you can talk about?
So the honor codes would be, so when my sister left home, everybody started to decline from being around us because they thought, because I had a secret boyfriend at the time, so did my sister, they thought, right, you can't mix with Rubie. You can't go to her house because she's got a secret boyfriend. She's going to influence you. That's one of the honor codes. So they started to keep my cousins and family friends away from us because we were seen as bad influence. So that's one of the honor codes. Another honor code is where dictation comes in from the community of, right, your daughter did this, you've got to do this now, because you need to smooth out the reputation with everybody, not just you. It's got to smooth out and it's got to fit everybody's reputation. And we've all got to lift each other up. So it became this hardcore bonding of no one can do anything that they want to do. It's got to be like a tick box. You have to go to the hierarchy of that honor codes and everybody has to agree to it. And the one of the honor codes as well, I would say, is when I didn't obviously have a say in who I got married to. I didn't have a say in how I wanted to get pregnant. It's a lot of dictations as well from the other parties that was then dictating my entire narrative of my life.
Hmm. So how did your story become unhidden? Because when you came back to UK, you were alone, you were trying to get rid of things. So how did your story become unhidden?
So, as you can imagine, living with a lot of dysfunction, and it doesn't stop there where I got forced married. The abuse and the repeating perpetrators carried on because I fell into domestic violence. And as you can imagine, when there's one type of abuse, it ripples out to all the other umbrella of abuse. And that's what was happening. So that lasted for a very few decades. And the pivotal moment of where I thought, right, I need to speak out now, is when one of my friends actually tagged me into a post on Facebook. And it was with a girl who got forced into marriage. And she did modeling. And she then decided to commit suicide. Now, at the time, so I'm sure when camera phones came out, everybody should know, like, Sony Ericsson phones were out and they had the camera phones for the first time. And I would take photos of myself. And my friend said, you're very photogenic. And I'm like, am I? And she said, and I think the younger Rubie, the 8-year-old Rubie, feisty, being expressive, came out in me. And my friend bought me a makeover day to go and get photo shoots done and things like that. And I went and I really, really enjoyed it. I felt like a lot of confidence then started to grow inside of me because I never had any at all. So as that confidence was growing, I got myself into more and more modeling, and I then fell into doing catwalks in fashion shows. And then I had a profile on this modeling site, and I was then scouted by an American pageant system who then went to the Philippines, and they were scouting for unique people, I guess you can say, because it was the first time that a pageant system scouted a woman, me, with children who would represent unmarried women. And I was put in the it was the Miss global system. And I went over there and I learned a lot more about myself. And it's not just about getting into bikinis and beautiful gowns. It's all about who you are inside. And I still have the recording of when I actually first spoke about my experiences and the way I articulated myself. I still have that on my phone, and it's something that I look back to, because that was my moving point. Because the CEO of that pageant system sent me a private message saying, I am absolutely outstanded by how you talk, and I'm so glad I took a chance on, unmarried women who've got children, representing single moms. So that
Brilliant.
then continued, and I didn't win, but I got into the top 15 out of 50 women, 50 amazing women from around the world. And then that continued to then me winning national and international titles in pageantry system. That then gave me another platform of talking to thousands and thousands and thousands of young girls and women and older women of all different age groups about my experiences. And when I actually got then picked out from media, that I won the national title here in the UK, and I was going to represent the Ms. category in America. That's when they plucked up my experiences and they splashed it everywhere. And then that gave me more and more of a boost to speak about it. But going back to that article, there was a charity that I got in touch with, and they gave me a platform as well. So I was working on 2 different platforms to highlight this experience, because I found my voice and I thought, this is me, this is what I've got to do. And I really, really am humbled for all the platforms that I've had and still having and will continue to have to speak.
Amazing, amazing. So now that you shared how you could get that spotlight and that platform to speak, what would you suggest? What more can be done to bring an abuse like forced marriage into spotlight? What do you think?
Well, recently it was actually on my mind. I actually had I had a memory pop up yesterday, and it was about when all the survivors were actually gathering all their experiences to then put forward towards Parliament to change the law, and my story was in there. My name is in there, and I contributed to that. So I think, yes, even though the law has changed from 16 to 18, I still feel like it needs to get to 21. I feel like that is a major thing, because you're still so young at those ages. You're still expressing who you are, finding out who you are, trying to express who you are. And then we're always chopping and changing who we are as a person. We're finding ourselves. I definitely believe that, we need to go into more professionals, such as the education system, professionals such as health and policing. And I feel like and the public is a major factor in this as well. We all just need to keep continuing sharing our stories and highlight these experiences that we've had. And it's a privilege to actually speak, because we've lost so many survivors along the way due to suicide, honor killings, um, even some people who have come to speak about their experiences but then relapsed. It's absolutely heartbreaking, because we're all on different paths. We're all trying to contribute to the same goals, and we're all on different pages, and we're trying to keep each other strong. And it's working, but we just need to keep continuing with having so many organizations and media keeping us on in the limelight, basically, of getting our story across.
So one last question from my end. If you had to share a message to today's participants, what would that be? Anything from your story or anything in particular that Ruby would like to highlight?
I would say definitely. I mean, we all, like, my little motto is, we all have an invisible strength. We all do. You might not know how strong your strength is, but your voice is definitely one of them. And you can, I came from a time where I wasn't allowed to speak at all. I was hushed all the time. This is our free choice to speak, you know, and I say that everyone's got an invisible strength. When I'm standing here, you know, there's been many times before, so many versions of me before where I was petrified to speak. But then when I'm speaking to people and the public and whatever, you know, audience it is, I'm here because I'm alive, you know, and I have to speak for the ones that have not got a voice. And that's including my daughter. My daughter actually has got special needs, and that's a factor towards the forced marriage. I'm speaking on my daughter's behalf as well to change the generations to come. I have to double my strength up, and I'm giving that to you, the audience. Whatever it is, you know, whatever you take from my story and my experiences and whatever I speak about, you know, it might sound for, you know, you might feel for me, you know, and that's normal. But what we can do as a collective is share that with other people. If we keep sharing that and sharing it to, it could be a friend or a colleague you might have where you might have heard something, that something's going on, you know, think about these speakers like myself and others that are brave enough to do this, because we have sacrificed a lot to do this. I still have not shared where I live, you know, with people. You know, there's a lot of things of confidentiality that I have to keep to myself, because I have had hate mail. I have had people still in communities that don't agree with what I do. I've had to rip myself away from my family. My children don't have extended families. I've had to isolate myself. All these things is sacrifices that I've had to make to then speak freely, bravely to everybody else. Now, if you can take just one sentence or, you know, just a couple of words from me and share that on, pass it on, just pass it on, just say, oh, I heard, you know, so and so and so, whoever it is, this and this and this, you know, someone might know then someone else is actually going through it. So knowledge is power, and it's there for a reason. If we keep silent, nothing will happen. So I hope, you know, these web cafes, talks, they are so important. They're vital. It's like I said, it's like breathing for me. You know, I have to keep doing this because it's like me having air, because so many people are not here today because of it.
Thank you, Ruby. Thank you for being so brave and strongly expressing yourself and sharing your story every time. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.